from our left to right, and they're all white uniforms. Here's the kick. Kicks it about the middle of the field. Looks like 19, that's Cody Ferrante. He's going to run up the middle. He's got some room. He's got a couple of blockers, cuts to his left, breaks a couple of tackles, uses his speed. There he goes! Touchdown, Calaveras!
What a great way to start the homecoming game, to get the crowd into it immediately.
What a play. The first time he touches the ball, he takes it to the house for 6 points. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Let's Talk Football with Coach Val. I'm your host, Gil Valtierra, the voice of Calaveras football. With me today in the studio, my very special guest. I'd like to welcome back to the living, Coach Manny Mossa. Coach, welcome back.
Hey, sorry I missed you last week.
Yeah, you know, life happens.
Yeah.
So, hey, we always start the episode off with results from last week, and we start off with our Calaveras Junior Redhawk program, who last week was at Escalon. And after a text message from Coach Sam Arledge, I went down there to watch these guys play. And I got to tell you, it was a little rough for me, Coach, because as you know, I still have a little PTSD from Escalon and having to go from back in 2010.
Yep.
I was on the sideline. I had to tell that story to Arthur Trillo, who had never heard that story. Yep. And you know, last year we had a football story and we told a little story. I think we might have to have a little segment there, bringing that up so more people can hear that story. So we'll come back to that. But Art heard the story, and Coach Beam, the head coach at Escalon, heard me talking, and he came over and said, "Oh, man, you guys had us. You guys should have won that game." And he was on Coach Lou's staff when that happened. And Arthur Trillo was absolutely just floored. He had no idea that game had occurred, and we were that close.
Yep. We were the 8 seed. They were the 1 seed.
I know.
Man.
It was crazy. So anyways, hey, big congratulations, though, to the novice team. The junior novice team won by forfeit because Escalon opted not to field a junior novice team. So the junior novice team, coached by Greg Mills, will take that victory. They'll go 3-1 on the season after losing their very first game. They've come back and won a couple games in a row. Good for them. The novice team did play. They were victorious over Escalon, 24-6. Coach Arledge sent me some stats. He talked about his linemen dominating in the trenches on both offense and defensively. Those offensive linemen were Trent Hughes, Lucas Mellinger, Charles Lee IV, Landon Beatles, Dakota Howard, Leonard Powers, and Riker Kwashnick. Defensively, he says they dominated the game once again with contributions from everyone. Offensive stats, total offense was 288 total yards. Levi Lim had 9 carries for 21 yards and a touchdown. Also had a 57-yard kick return and 5 receiving yards. Hayden Trillo had 3 carries for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. Great game, young man, on Saturday. Good job there. Sammy Arledge IV, 11 carries for 35 yards and a touchdown. Jax Watson, 2 carries for 23 yards. Jace Kamenzen, 1 carry for 16 yards. Gino Varney, 2 carries for 42 yards. And Brent Fusen was 1 for 4 passing with 5 yards and 2 interceptions. Defensively, they only allowed 105 total yards to the opposing team. Jace Kamenzen had 5 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss. Sammy Arledge IV, 3 tackles, 1 for a loss. Levi Lim, 3 tackles. Jax Watson, 1 tackle for a loss. An interception return that he took back 11 yards. Leonard Powers, 2 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss. Landon Beatles, 2 tackles. Lucas Mellinger, 1 tackle and 1 tackle for a loss. Rogerio Leon, 1 tackle, 1 fumble recovery. Brenna House, 1 tackle. And again, going 4-0 now, the novice team beats Escalon 24-6. Coach, any comments on that game?
That team flies around. They fly around. Defensively, man, they're stout. They're stout. You never see. You don't see the big plays.
Hmm.
There's always guys around the football. We preach it all the time. 11 guys of the football. Don't be the last guy there. They're playing it. They're playing it there, man. They
Excellent.
get with it.
Excellent. Well, they're doing a really good job, though. Obviously, that group is on a roll, 4-0. In fact, a little bit later, I got a little treat for them. So we'll go into that a little bit later. Let's move on to the JV Junior Redhawk team. Unfortunately, they fell to Escalon 25-6. Some offensive highlights there. Number 86, Dion Willingham, had 11 carries for 95 yards and a rushing touchdown. That's pretty good for a fullback.
First day playing the position.
Wow. Nice job, Dion Willingham. Number 7, Ethan Mossa, 12 carries for 20 yards. Number 6, Nolan Mint, 5 carries for 39 yards. Also had 19 receiving yards. Number 2, Greg Mills had 2 carries for 11 yards. He was 1 for 2 on his pass attempts for 19 yards passing. And number 44, Luca Varney had 3 carries for 9 yards. Defensively, number 42, Gannon Lefebvre, had a quarterback sack and 4 tackles. Number 7, Ethan Mossa, and number 2, Greg Mills, had 5 tackles. Number 50, Landon Nunez, had 4 tackles. Number 1, Ben Montgomery, had 2 tackles. Number 86, Dion Willingham. Number 6, Nolan Mint. Number 15, Cooper Watson. Number 33, Tyler West. Number 13, Levi Weldon, all had 2 tackles. Number 17, Braden Rowe. Number 16, Braden Hughes. Number 95, KJ Manoa, and number 44, Luca Varney, each had a tackle in the loss 25-6. Coach, you were on the sidelines. Some comments on that game.
Yeah, we're making progress. It's not fast enough. You know what I mean? I know we've said that many times before, but we got a few guys making progress. A few guys stepped it up. Lefebvre is really starting to play well. He's starting to step it up. Had guys play new positions, and we've talked about it. The last thing you want to do is switch positions as you get towards the middle of the season, and we've had to make that change. And I think it's going to work out. It's going to work out soon. And Willingham, that's his first game playing fullback. He's one of our tougher kids. He's going to give 100% no matter where he's at. And so he was guard. Now he's at fullback, and he played a very, very good game. Ran the ball very well, and we gotta continue to fight and continue to find have players find some new spots and figure some things out a little bit quicker. You know what I mean? That's just it. We got 3 games in now for us, and I think we have 11 games total on the season. So you'd like to be mid-season form by mid-season, So I think we're a little behind. I think we still have we're capable. We're still capable of getting there. We have plenty of athletes. We need kids to figure it out.
Right.
That's just it. But we'll get there.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to the varsity game for the Junior Redhawks. Unfortunately, they fell to Escalon 38-13. Some offensive highlights on that game. Gavin Verduso had 11 carries for 50 yards and 1 touchdown. He also had an extra point. Cade Steele, 16 carries for 70 yards and a touchdown. Mason Williams, 6 carries and 11 yards. Gavin Emerson, 1 touch for 5 yards. Maddox Ellie, 4 carries for 85 yards and a touchdown. Total offense, 221 yards on 38 carries and 3 touchdowns. Defensively, Cade Steele had 3.5 tackles. Liam Souders had 2.5 tackles. Bryson Turner had 2.5 tackles. Gavin Emerson, 2 tackles. Luke Allen, 2 tackles. Gavin Verduso, 1.5 tackles. Rylan Graham, 1.5 tackles. Lane Watson, 1.5 tackles. And Braden Pessinen and Caden Graham each shared a tackle with a half a tackle each in the 38-13 loss. Comments on that game, Coach?
Yeah, I didn't stick around to watch that game, but it sounds like they're kind of in the same boat as the JV team. Just trying to find themselves, figure some things out. Or do we have guys in the right spot and things like that. Can't comment, really if they played hard or not or whatnot. That'd be for Coach Paulson. But look, I mean, they're full of a bunch of tough kids. I know that. Sometimes it just takes one game.
Yeah, and I know Coach Paulson's a good coach, so he's going to recognize where the work needs to be put, and where the time should be allocated in practice to get better. So I'm sure he'll get these guys going. One of the things I noticed, last year, you look at last year with these four teams, and three of the four ended up in the Super Bowl, and then you come back 1 year later, and people go, well, "What's going on? What happened here?" But you have some of the kids leave one team to move up to the next level. Some of the kids stay, new kids come in. And in the game of football, as you and I both know, it's not one or two guys that make a team. It's the entire team. It's the ultimate team sport. And so when you break up the continuity of an entire team that had success, and then even if you take half of them away and put in half anew, all of a sudden you have a whole new team, a whole new dynamic, and then that's a whole lot of work. You got to start from scratch all over again. It doesn't matter if you have a couple of players that were left back from the other team. It just becomes a whole new team, doesn't it?
Yeah, and the other thing too is when you lose, right? Losing kind of breeds competitiveness. I mean, Calaveras and Houston, right? They're pretty fortunate to have teams there, along with I think Amador's JV team and Argo's younger teams. So one thing that I noticed is every Escalon team was running their stuff very well, every one of them. So hey, they weren't in the show last year. They're a little pissed off, right? Coaches are working a little bit harder. Players are working a little bit harder. Escalon's they're gonna have teams there at the end, no question. I really felt they were running their offense, that wing T, the high school. They were running that thing to a T.
Yeah,
I mean they really were.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of teams are like that. I think Waterford sometimes gets left out. Oh, their JV team, they have some athletes, and they're gonna be there as well. Linden gets left out sometimes. Well, no, their JV team looks pretty good. That's who we play this week, and I think it's just it's one of those things, if you want to win, right, you got to put the work in,
right.
And I think we're seeing that from a lot of the other levels. I think it's great. I think we talk about high school football a lot and the TVL. There's a lot of good teams in the TVL. Well, that's done nothing but make them all better.
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing the same thing here in the MVFL, this Pop Warner League. I think everybody is stepping up their game. Everybody's getting a little bit better. And look, I'll tell you, I was very impressed with the Escalon JV team and how they ran their offense, and of course their defense too. And I think that it's what it is. Right now, all of a sudden, we lost. We're like, okay, we're 0-3. We have to get better. We have to work harder. Kids have to work harder. Coaches got to do better, and it breeds better football.
There you go.
So
there you go. Well, speaking of that, so you perfect segue. Linden now comes to Calaveras High School at Frank Meyer Field on Saturday the 13th. There's a bye tonight as far as the high school goes. They don't have a game. We're going to get into that in just a few moments. But if you need your football fix for the week, get out to Frank Meyer Field on Saturday, noon, 2, 4, 6 o'clock for all four of the Junior Redhawk programs, football teams. Linden comes into town, so get out there and support those guys. Let's move on to the high school team. The junior varsity Redhawk team at the high school fell to Ripon Christian 28-6. Coach Jesus Tapia, I'm sure will regroup and get these guys going. Obviously, he's going to have an extra week because there's a bye week. And then after the bye week, we'll be back at home at Frank Meyer Field for homecoming week, and Riverbank comes in to Calaveras High School for homecoming in the very first Motherlode League play game of the 2025 season. I know you normally only watch the first half of that game, but any comments on that 28-6 loss to Ripon Christian?
Yeah, I mean, I think the JV team just needs to find themselves again. I think really that's what it is. They have enough talent on that team, size and speed to compete. And it showed against Bradshaw Christian, who's usually a good program, JV and varsity. So they just got to find themselves, get back to the roots, be fundamentally sound. When I look at the players, do what you're coached to do.
Right.
And I think if they can get back to that, they'll be just fine.
Yeah. And I talked to a couple of JV coaches during walkthroughs last week on Friday. And I was asking if there was a little bit of that Jekyll and Hyde syndrome going on, right? It's like, who's going to show up today? It's like they show up one week and go, yeah, they're looking really good, like they did against Bradshaw. And then the next week you go, wait a minute, who's this guy? You know, what just happened here? And so they got to work on just getting some continuity and some consistency out of those guys.
You can't pick and choose when you're going to play. You got to show up every game, every practice, you know, and that's probably, that might be half the battle right there. You know,
Yeah.
who's showing up at practice and actually working their tail off all week long, you know, because look, you can't just flip the switch on.
No.
You can't do it.
No.
And some people think they can, but most of the time it does not work out.
No, it doesn't, especially in the game of football.
Yeah.
Moving on to the high school varsity team, in a really good, close, exciting football game, Ripon Christian ends up victorious over the Calaveras Redhawks in the high school varsity game, 38-21. Let's go over some stats in that game. Number 6, Cohen Curran, the quarterback, was 2 for 10 passing for 43 yards. No touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He did have ran the ball 7 times for 52 yards and a rushing touchdown. Number 22, Ryan Clifton, carried the ball 8 times for 27 yards and a rushing touchdown. Number 7, Enrique Hernandez, 11 carries, 92 yards rushing. Paulson had 14 carries for 48 yards rushing and a touchdown. Devin Ellis, 2 carries for 16 yards rushing. Long, 1 reception for 6 yards. And Patrick, 1 reception for 37 yards. Team stats, Calaveras outgained Ripon Christian on the ground, 235 yards to Ripon Christian 70. On passing, it was the other way around. Ripon Christian, 113 yards passing, only 43 for Calaveras. Turnovers, none for Ripon Christian, 2 for Calaveras. And on the penalties, Ripon Christian had 4 for 25 yards, Calaveras 6 for 55 yards. All these stats courtesy of Guy Dossie from the Calaveras Enterprise and the CalaverasEnterprise.com. So thanks to Guy. Comments, Coach, on some of the stats I just read, on the game as a whole, as far as this past game versus Ripon Christian.
Well, you know, let's take 1 penalty and 15 yards, take it away from the players, put it on the coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that was on us. We weren't very happy with the call. No excuse there. You know, we can't hurt the team like that. Luckily they we got a 4 and out on that, so that was a good thing. You know, I thought our guys played a very good game in terms of physicality, running the football, stopping the run, right? Those are 2 of the main things you want to do in high school football. It's a very good Ripon Christian team. They were big. They were fast. Like they were very good. You know, it's really weird, you know, when you're able to hold them to what we held them to offensively and outgain them with our offense, you know, you'd think you'd win the game. But like you said, penalties, that never helps. Of course, our penalties seem to come at the worst time. And 2 turnovers. We turned the ball over. We did not get a turnover. And a kick return again. You know, that's the things that we have to clean up. You know, that's 2 kick returns before half and 2 out of the last 3 weeks. And that just cannot happen. So, you know, as I'm proud of the guys. They didn't quit. They continued to play the entire game. But, you know, again, if we're going to beat those good teams, those are the things we have to clean up.
Right. So in the pregame show on KVGC radio, Greg and I were talking about some of the keys of the football game. And I had come up with 4 points that I thought Calaveras needed to do in order to beat a team like Ripon Christian. The first one I thought you successfully did, which was to continue to consistently play good disciplined defense. You played great defense in the first couple of games versus Bradshaw and Argonaut. Some of the scores were, you know, late in the game, you know, when there's, you know, subbing going on, and, you know, some of it was on special teams, the big plays and all that. But overall, defensively, you know, the defense looked pretty good, playing good, disciplined, stout defense, and I felt like they needed to continue to do that. The second point was around penalties and turnovers, right? It's like you got to eliminate the mistakes, eliminate the penalties. Penalties, obviously, as you know, kill drives, take away first downs. They change the momentum of football games, and so do turnovers. And so, obviously that was the second point, because in the first two games, there were 2 turnovers apiece in both of those first 2 games. 5 or 6 penalties apiece in each one of those games. So that was another key point. The third one was around a better efficient passing game. And then the very last one was going to be control the tempo of the game with power running. Obviously, Rip and Christian coming in with 76 points in the first 2 weeks. Prolific offense. And I thought that, they can't score if they're standing on the sideline if you guys go on long sustained drives. So those are my 4 things. I said, this is what Calaveras needs to do to win the game. I felt like 2 of the 4 you guys accomplished. I felt like defensively you played well, and at times you did keep the ball for a long time and went on long sustained drives with power running. Yep. But the turnovers and the penalties, the giving up the big plays, that in the more efficient passing, those were the 2 that I felt like didn't quite come up to snuff.
Yeah, and take a look, from the very get-go, we were punting, and we had a guy come clean. Hunter decided to pull the ball down, and we give them the ball. I think it was at our own 20-yard line.
Mm-hmm.
That's not something you want to do. Special teams.
Yeah.
Right? Later in the game was the same thing. We had to go for it. Right. We were late in the game. We needed 2 scores, and we didn't get it on 4th down. We gave them the ball again, and they scored a quick touchdown. So, 2 touchdowns right there. Right away, and then tack on that kick return.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3 touchdowns from special teams, and offensively, sometimes you get back in that hole there. They kicked it deep. We didn't get a good return. We muffed the ball. I don't know how many kickoffs that we dropped the ball. We put the ball on the ground, had to pick it up, and we couldn't get a return. So we those special teams plays, like we kind of gave them that field position to quickly score. We eliminate that, maybe we're still in the game.
Yeah.
I do feel we felt like, as a coaching staff, that we wanted to run the ball 3, 4, 5 yards a pop, and we felt like we could, and I felt like we did. But when you give up those special team plays, and then now all of a sudden, okay, well, we're down 2 scores with limited time. Well, now we have to throw it. We have to, and I think we put ourselves in that position, and that's when the game kind of started to go away from us.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what any team wants. Not let alone us. Most teams don't want to do that. So I thought our defense played outstanding. I really did. Yeah, we had a couple of calls I did not agree with, but what do you do?
Yeah, you guys were in the game the majority of the game. You went into the 4th quarter 28-21, right? So it was a competitive football game, all the way down into the 4th quarter. So but you're right, there was a lot of big, huge momentum type changing plays. That and for people out there to think, that there's no emotion or momentum in football, you're completely wrong, because there is, and it happens, and you could feel it and you can see it out there.
We always tell the guys, don't never get too high, never get too low.
Right.
Because the game will humble you real quick.
Okay, so before we move on to our next segment, Coach, I want to send a big thank you to our KVGC radio quarter sponsors, MRM Stone, Harley Davidson of Sacramento, Treats General Store, and the Paver Company. Let's hear a word from them, and then we'll be right back. MRM Stone has over 1,000 natural stone selections, fabrication services, and delivery available. Stop on by 2173 Highway 12 in Valley Springs, or go to mrmstone.com. Give us a ring at 209-763-5761. MRM Stone, your masonry and landscape stone supplier. Ready to feel the freedom of the open road? Learn to ride at Harley Davidson of Sacramento. Our Riding Academy is now open 7 days a week. Whether you're brand new to riding, getting back on the bike after some time away, or just want to sharpen your skills, we've got a course for you. You'll learn everything from mastering the controls to riding the curves with confidence. It's also the perfect gift for a new rider in your life. Sign up today and let us get you rolling. We'll even help you register for an upcoming class when we return to the line. Harley-Davidson of Sacramento, where your journey begins. Treats General Store in San Andreas, California, is a proud sponsor of Calaveras football and the Let's Talk Football with Coach Val podcast. Treats General Store has everything you need from groceries, meat, liquors, and hardware. Treats General Store since 1852. Ready to transform your backyard into an outdoor paradise? Look no further than the Paver Company, specializing in hardscaping, landscaping, outdoor living spaces, turf, decking, and more. They're your one-stop shop for all your yard upgrade needs. Make your yard the envy of the neighborhood. Visit us at thepavercompany.com or call us at 916-222-8844. Let's turn your backyard dreams into reality with the Paver Company. All right, welcome back. This next segment we call From Around the League, where we go around the Motherlode League, figure out what the scores were, who were playing next, and all that good stuff. Big Valley Christian last week was on a bye week. Tonight, Friday, September 12th, they will be on the road at West Valley. That's scheduled for a 7:30 p.m. kickoff. Bret Hart also last week was on a bye week. Tonight, they'll be at El Camino. 7 p.m. kickoff, that one's scheduled for. Linden last week, also on a bye week. Tonight, Linden will be at Houston, which is be a very good, tough, good football game. That's a 7 p.m. kickoff, Linden at Houston. Millennium last week lost to Waterford 35-0. Tonight, Modesto Christian, actually not tonight, that one's scheduled for tomorrow on Saturday. Modesto Christian at Millennium, which are being played at Tracy High School, Saturday the 13th, 7 p.m. kickoff. Riverbank falls to Gustine 33-13. Tonight, Bayer will be at Riverbank, 7 p.m. kickoff for that one. River Islands beats Modesto Christian 30-14. This week, River Islands is on a bye tonight, so they take the week off and get ready for league play. Last week, Somerville was on a bye. Tonight, Johnson of Sacramento heads up to Tuolumne to play Somerville at Somerville. That's a 7 p.m. kickoff. And then this week, as I mentioned earlier, Calaveras tonight is on a bye week, no game tonight. And next week, Riverbank will come to Calaveras High School and take on the Calaveras Redhawks for homecoming night, and that's on Friday, September 19th, and that's scheduled for a 7 p.m. kickoff. Coach, any comments on any of those games that are going on?
Hey, I'm looking at that Linden Houston game.
That's gonna be big. Houston's in that tough TVL that you mentioned earlier, and they're no slouch. They're no joke. And Linden come off getting beat pretty good. And usually when teams get beat like that, they come back kind of with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah, and we played Houston, or at least scrimmaged right in the scrimmage, and they're good. They're good. So that's what I'm looking forward to seeing what the score is on that one.
Yeah, that'll be definitely an interesting game. Some other games in our area, Amador beats Bear Creek 60-33. If you're an offensive guy, man, that was the game to be at. Tonight, Amador is actually on a bye. Argonaut beats Colfax 55-42. Another barn burner out there with the offense of going and scoring at will. Argonaut also on a bye. Amador, Argonaut, and Calaveras, all of Amador and Calaveras County. Well, I guess minus Bret Hart, all on bye week. That's pretty rare.
We're going to have to meet up at Mel's or something.
And then Sonora handles Antelope 62-14. Tonight, Sonora goes onto the road and heads over to Turlock, and that one's scheduled for a 7 p.m. kickoff. Any comments on any of those games?
Hey, Sonora taking on Turlock, good for them. Turlock's, they're a program.
Yeah.
They're legit, they used to come to the scrimmage at Central Catholic, up until last year, and they're good. They're good. They're big. They're physical. There's
some big boys out there. They grown big down there.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's D2.
Yeah,
pretty sure D2, and they compete for section championships at D2.
Right.
They're legit.
So yeah, that'll be an interesting game for sure. Because Sonora looks like they haven't missed a beat from last year's run with the section championship and the state championship, and they're clicking on all cylinders.
Yes, they are.
So that'll be an interesting game to see. So far, then, going into the first few weeks here of the season, the Motherlode League standings: Riverbank is 1-1, Bret Hart is 1-1, Linden is 1-1, Somerville is 1-1, Calaveras is 1-2, River Islands is 1-2, Big Valley Christian is 0-2, and Millennium is 0-2. Obviously, very early in the season, and once league play gets going, we'll start to see some movement happening in those standings there. Moving on, as I like to call next level action, right? Next level. Folks, you're not going to believe it, but I'm going to tell you something right now. Let's give it up for Delta College. That's right. After last year not being able to get a win and then opening the season with a loss in week 2, the Delta College Mustangs out of Stockton beat Hartnell 44-14 to get off the schneid, as they say. And so congratulations to Coach Gary Barlow and the Delta Mustangs for getting that W. On Saturday the 13th, tomorrow at 1 o'clock, they'll be back at Stockton as Coalinga comes in to Delta College to play them. That's a Saturday the 13th, 1 p.m. kickoff, Coalinga at Delta College. Modesto Junior College beats Santa Rosa 27-20. So Modesto Junior College continues in their winning ways. That puts them at 2-0 for the season. And then tomorrow on Saturday the 13th, Modesto Junior College will be on the road to play San Mateo, which I think will be a really good football game because those are both two really good winning football programs. That's Saturday the 13th, 1 o'clock in San Mateo. Modesto Junior College at San Mateo. So that'll be a good game. Sierra College, we talked last week. Sierra College has Josh Monzo, who's just graduated last year from Calaveras, former Calaveras player. They played Fresno and lost 41-38 in a close football game there. In a rare Friday night game at the junior college level, Sierra College is headed over to Sac City to play Sac City on Friday night at 6 p.m. Sierra College at Sac City. So I don't know. Maybe that's a game to go to.
That is kind of rare, yeah.
Yeah, Friday night. They're normally Saturday afternoon, Saturday evenings. But I don't know. Maybe there's a scheduling conflict or something like that. But Josh Monzo will throw the jersey on again. He wears number 45. He starts at defensive end for Sierra College, and he'll head over to Sac City, and Sierra College will try to get their first win of the year as they fell in a close one to Fresno. They'll go 0-2 on the year. UC Davis, they went up to Washington and played the Huskies. Oof. And boy, 70-10, they lost. And when I seen UC Davis play Mercer and I seen them play, I was like, man, they look pretty good, but obviously whole different level there against the Washington Huskies. They lose the game 70-10. So they'll fall on to 1-1 on the season. This week, UC Davis is on a bye, probably a much needed bye after a game like that. And I'm sure Coach Plow will just lick his wounds and get ready for the next game. Sac State loses in a close game to the Nevada Wolfpack, 20-17. So they'll fall to 0-2, but look like they played a little bit better football there against the Nevada Wolfpack. Saturday the 13th, 6 p.m. kickoff. Sac State comes back home. Mercyhurst will be at Sac State for a 6 p.m. kickoff as Sac State still searches for that first win of the season. And then, of course, the University of California Golden Bears. They beat Texas South 35-3. And then Saturday on September 13th, they have a 7:30 p.m. kickoff as the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Are they the Golden Gophers? I believe they are.
Yeah, I think they are.
Minnesota comes in to Cal Berkeley to play Cal at a 7:30 p.m. kickoff. Cal so far this season is 2-0. Any comments on any of those next level games, Coach?
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Cal fan. All right. What business does Cal have playing Texas South?
Well, listen, somebody has to play them.
Goodness, man.
maybe Texas South needed to play a bigger school for like a financial thing. Sometimes those smaller schools play the bigger schools because of that.
Yeah, they pay him to come play. They pay him to come to their home field, right?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
usually what. Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. I mean,
Right.
you still got to go win the football game, coach.
True. I've never heard of Texas South before, dude.
Minnesota will probably be a tougher game,
I would think, yeah.
right? I mean, what do you know any of the staff at Minnesota?
No.
Right? Isn't it like Dauber and Coach and all those guys that are like from Coach that are like
Was it Hayden Fox?
Hayden Fox?
Hayden Fox.
He's the head coach over at the Minnesota Golden Gophers. He could get those guys going. You just never know. So there's your next level action that's going in there. Now, normally we go into what we call this week in practice and talk about, this opponent tonight and what they run and who's their go-to guy and all that good stuff. But there is no opponent. And so instead, Coach, I thought we'd share with the listeners a little bit about how do coaches, staff, and players and teams, what do you do on a bye week, right? Does everybody just, grab a drink with an umbrella in it and kick your feet up and say, oh, I get the week off? Do you spend 2 weeks getting ready for the next opponent, which is Riverbank? Or do you spend a week going, no, let's work on us, and the next week we'll worry about the next opponent like you would normally do? Fill us in on, how do you handle a bye week? What happens for those of us out there that are listening and go, what do these guys do?
Yeah, I mean, each year's different, kind of depends on how your team's playing and what you're doing. And I don't know what other teams do. To me, this week we need to work on us. We're shooting ourselves in the foot.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to work on us. We working on our passing game, or worked on our passing game this week. Tried to clean some things up there. Special teams. We had to work on our special teams. We got to get better. There's 3 facets of a football game: offense, defense, and special teams. And there's one of those that we keep continuing to get our butt kicked at, right? So we got to clean that up. So that's what we did this week. I thought the guys came in with a good attitude. We went right to work on Monday and getting things fixed and cleaned up. And what's really cool is normally we do film. We go through the film and we the coaches, we address the film, the play, the kids, what needs to fix, what was wrong, things like that. This week we let them do it, and we had the longest film session we've ever had. They I don't know what you want to call it. They were self-accountable.
Okay.
They pointed out their mistakes, even when maybe we're kind of like, I didn't think that was that bad, but okay, So that's the type of group we have. They want to do whatever's necessary to get better, and so we did that to start the week off, and then we just got after it. Got after it for a few days, and then Thursday we had a day just us.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of hang out, less football talk, more just hanging out, seeing what's going on. We have a yearly cornhole tournament.
I like it.
Yeah, we just try to it's a grind.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to have a little bit of fun with those guys you're out there grinding with. You have to.
Who won last year's tournament?
Last year's was Clifton and Smith.
All right.
Yeah, so me and Coach Clark, we owe them. So, but yeah, that's how we do it. I'm sure some coaches do it a little bit different. We of course give the guys Friday, give them today off, and then we're back at it next week.
Right, and then it's back to normal schedule.
Yep.
And
get ready for Riverbank.
Let me ask you this, and maybe it's like one of those loaded questions where you're like, it depends, right? There's so many variables, but do you think the bye week's a good thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. You how should I say this? There's 11 total weeks in a season, right? So you can not have a game week 1 and go 10 weeks straight, or you can start right away and have a week in between to fix some things and to rest
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, we always hope and try. We want to go 12, 13 weeks plus, right? That's a long season without a day off, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we're Ironman football. We don't have 50, 60 dudes on our sideline.
Right.
So our guys, man, they play both ways. They play special teams, and that's small school football for you. So that week off in the middle of the year, that really helps us out.
I think there's certain weeks out of the year, out of the schedule, that are more ideal to have the bye week than other weeks, and you can't really control that, right? I mean,
Well,
there's some weeks where you're like, some years you go, oh, we ended up with a bye in a week maybe that's not that ideal or something like that. Or
so we can control it because we set up our bye week in preseason. We cannot set it up during league
okay,
just because we have even teams. So we're always
gotcha,
playing somebody in league. So this year we were able to switch Argonaut the week 4 with the week 2 bye that we had last year, and so we played Argonaut week 2, and then of course we got week 4 off. So
gotcha. Okay.
yeah.
So I guess because of the realignment of the leagues, that gave it a little bit more control of controlling when the bye week is going to happen.
Just with the preseason,
Okay.
because there's just no chance to have it
Right.
during the season or during the league.
Right. So it being a bye week this week, and going over working on yourself, special teams, some of the things that that when you look in the mirror, you go, this is what we got to work on for us. So we got to fix us. Here's what we got to fix. And then next week, just focusing on now your next opponent. And then now next week, going into it being homecoming, is there an advantage or disadvantage you think by having like a bye and then homecoming right after that? Because I know sometimes the kids can get a little distracted with all the homecoming activities and all that good stuff. Tell me a little bit about that dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's an advantage just because, uh, as you go, we're able to clean some fundamentals up, and a lot of times, you only have 8 hours of practice during the week. There's only so much you can do during the week on a normal week. So for us, I felt like we were able to clean some things up this week and kind of get back to the normal schedule that we normally do, and fundamentally we'll be ready to take on the new install, the new plays, the new offense plays, new defensive scheme, things like that. So I think we'll be ready to go. I don't believe. I'll say this, this group is pretty locked in. They are they are they all share the common goal, and that's to be a better football team. And we've talked about it. We've coached many years. You don't always have that group that is willing to do what it takes to complete that common goal. I don't believe we're going to have an issue with the homecoming this year. I don't believe we've had an issue in the last few years since I've been the head coach with homecoming. I think our guys enjoy it. They have fun, but they do make sure they take care of the task at hand. They show up to practice, they work hard, and they prepare themselves to play the game on Friday night. Because ultimately, the worst thing that can happen is lose that homecoming game.
Mm-hmm.
So look, this is year 3 for me. We have not had an issue with that. Knock on wood. I don't anticipate this group coming close to having any issues with homecoming.
Right. Now, homecoming, it's against Riverbank. It's the first Mother Lode League game of the year.
Yep.
Riverbank comes to Calaveras for the first time. Last year, you played them for the first time at Riverbank. And I remember calling the game, and I remember Riverbank scored on like their first play of the game, and everybody went, "What in the heck is going on?"
Yep.
So, are any of you guys like, have you started thinking about Riverbank yet, or is this just let's focus on what we need to fix, and we'll worry about that come Monday and start next week?
Kind of focused on what we need to fix first, before we worry about anybody else. It's really what that's been the mindset.
Right. So, my next question, Coach, is around: do any of the guys? I know the coaches know this, but do any of the guys know about the divisions and everything that's going on with the CIF and where Calaveras is going to fall?
I don't know. We have not talked about it.
Okay,
To me, it's just if they know, great, that's fine. But it just doesn't matter at this point.
Right.
The next game matters.
Right.
But feel free if you plan on.
No. I was just, it was just a question. I just want to know. You know what I, me, like what I always used to say, my goal with teams was always, hey, let's go 1-0.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So that's so I totally get the let's focus on the task that's at hand. Let's not worry about down the road. Let's worry about what's in front of us. So speaking of that, I want to talk a little bit about the Junior Redhawk program. In fact, really the entire Calaveras football universe here, right?
Okay.
So when we go down to the Junior Redhawks, the junior novice team, they started off with the loss, and then since then have won 3 games in a row. So they're 3-1. The novice team is 4-0. The JV and varsity have only played 3 because there was that fire up in Sonora, so the JV and varsity game got canceled. And I think you had mentioned they're planning on replaying that game, right?
Yep. Monday, September 29th at Calaveras.
Okay. What time? Do you know?
6:00 for JV, 8:00 for varsity. And I mean, that was basically the only time.
That's bonus football.
Right?
That's bonus football. Wait a minute. You're telling me that the Junior Redhawks are going to play Monday Night Football?
Monday Night Football.
You got to love it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then right now the JV and varsity searching for that first win. They're 0-3. The varsity's 0-3. The high school junior varsity team, 1-2. And then the high school varsity team 1-2. And when I look at that, the thing that stands out to me is that novice team, 4-0. They're clicking on all cylinders. So great job to Sam Arledge, the coaching staff, those young players. And I mentioned earlier that I had a little bit of a treat for him, Coach. And I'm a man of my word. So this week's rant is totally dedicated to the novice team for the Calaveras Junior Redhawk program, because those guys are getting it done. They're 4-0. They're walking tall. They got a big pep in their step, right? Shoulders are back, chin is up, and they are feeling good. And I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. So this week's rant is all about that novice team. Here you go, guys. Have a listen. All right, the 4-0 Junior Redhawk Novice football team. This team is tough. Every single one of those players carry around a can opener with them, so they're always ready to open up a can of whoop ass at any time. After this team was born, they drove their moms home. This team's trash throws itself out. This team can win a game of Connect 4 in only 3 moves. This team's calendar goes right from March 31st to April 2nd because nobody can fool this team. This team can make a Happy Meal cry. The dark is afraid of this team. This team uses pepper spray to add flavor to its steaks. If paper beats rock, rock beats scissors, and scissors beat paper, then this team can beat all of them at the same time. This team can make onions cry. This team clogs the toilet by just peeing in it. This team can win an arm wrestling match with both hands tied behind its back. This team can cook minute rice in 30 seconds. And finally, when this team gets old enough, Coach, and they get ready to leave for college, they'll have to sit down with their fathers and explain that they're now man of the house. Calaveras Junior Redhawk Novice team, beat Linden, go 5-0. Let's keep this thing going, baby. Woo! All right. To the winner goes the spoils.
That's awesome, dude.
So congratulations to those young guys. Keep it going. We are proud of you. We it doesn't go unnoticed. We see what's happening and we see what's going on. We appreciate all of you listening. Coach Mossa, I appreciate you spending your valuable time with us. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
You bet. And for all of you out there that are listening, please don't forget to follow the Let's Talk Football with Coach Val podcast page on Facebook and Instagram. Brand new episode every Friday. And also drop in a recap episode of the radio calls with Greg Stark and myself, bringing you all the live action and summarizing the football games that are out there. Be sure to tune into those. And until next time, we are out. From our left to right, and they're all white uniforms. Here's the kick. Kicks it about the middle of the field. Looks like 19. That's Cody Ferrante. He's going to run up the middle. He's got some room. He's got a couple of blockers. Cuts to his left. Breaks a couple of tackles. Uses his speed. There he goes. Touchdown, Calaveras.
What a great way to start the homecoming game to get the crowd into it immediately.
What a play. The first time he touches the ball, he takes it to the house for 6 points.